Hello, gentles and ladymen. I'm Spiro. It's been a while. Just to remind you, I'm not a wizard. You might see here, I've got a new microphone. One of the issues of the last month that I haven't made videos was I noticed with my old crappy microphone that it was picking up a lot of audio, say from my laptop, for example, when the CPU fan starts spinning up. The audio in my last video, I wasn't happy with it. That, and I've been a bit lazy over the last month. It's been about 50-50. I haven't been doing a lot of actual retro programming over the last month. I do, though, want to say a big thank you to a lot of the recent subscribers that I've got. Apparently, one of my Wordle videos was posted on Ars. Someone said it was posted on Ars, so I presume that means the Ars Technica, either the forums or comments on one of the articles. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's been a few more people who have found my C64 version of Wordle and have been enjoying it. So thank you for showing up. Thank you for commenting. I will be making more updates to it. I haven't yet, but they will be coming. I was mindful that my videos were a lot of Wordle related videos, which I sort of did in passing. You know, I wrote that version of Wordle in passing, and then it kind of grew into something. But I kind of want to get back to making the videos on the assembly and the adventure game creation. So we'll see how that goes. Some of the other things that just to give you something, so this is not going to be a programming video. I just realise now that I've got my camera on full screen mode rather than the little thumbnail up in the corner, what a mess the desk is behind me. Yep. I'll work on that one of these days. Something just arrived in the mail. So the issue 6 of Zzap 64 arrived. This is quite cool. So as you can see, they did a review on Sonic the Hedgehog, but more than just doing a game review. So there is a game review. Spanning a few pages. Spoiler alert, they liked it. But as well as doing the game review, David Simmons, aka Jazz Cat, did an interview with Mr. Sid, who is the guy who wrote the port. And it's cool because they do go over a lot of technical stuff in this. So this is not just excuse me. This magazine is quite good because it's not just aimed at game reviews necessarily. Like it's I don't know how to put it, but it's nice that they're having actual technical discussions where they're talking about CPU and the memory usage, and for example, one of the questions JazzCat asked was how much time per frame goes on running the game code, and were there any interesting CPU spikes that needed dealing with, thinking of things like the expensive setup times for the sprite muxer that Armalite had to cope with whenever a boss arrives. So, so they're getting into the weeds here. So I think that this magazine will be of interest to people who want more than just game reviews. It's probably my favourite feature of this magazine. Well, it's a cool feature, is that they do a 12-month radar. So if you see on this page here, it may not be that clear until my camera focuses. Each circle indicates a month for the next 12 months out, and they plot the points, which are the names of games that are coming out. So they've plotted which games are anticipated to come out in which month, and that's fantastic. I mean, it's not just good because you know when the games are coming out, but it's good because you get to see games that you didn't know were coming out. I mean, some of them obviously the dates change. I think the Empire Strikes Back was due to come out last year, and now it's been pushed to January, February, March, April, May. Yeah, there's been a few others that I've noticed that have been, they've been pushed out, but that's fine. That's these are hobbyist things. So people, life gets in the way of a lot of these things. These guys are not making much money out of these things. If anything, some people release their games completely for free. Some people are releasing them, if you're buying physical games, you're not paying a lot for them. And I will get onto some physical games soon. This issue 6 was the first one I received in the mail individually. I went and did an order. This must have been late last year. I've had them for a while, but I have not read through them all. And so I've got issues. I didn't get the first issue of Zzap 64 had sold out. So I've only got from issues 2 onwards. So that's issue 2. And what was cool was that issue 2 came with a disc, which I haven't put into my C64 yet. Because when I got it, the drive was giving me jip. So I wanted to make sure that the drive was working before I put in original stuff. It seems to be fine now. So I'll give that a crack. So anyway, I've got issues 2, 3, 4, 5, and now issue 6. I picked up a couple of issues of the Fusion magazine. A couple of random issues. So I've got issue 22 and 28. This is more, so whereas Zzap 64 is obviously focused on the Commodore 64, Fusion, they've labelled it as retro, current gen, indie, tabletop, and toys. The same publishers also make a magazine for the Spectrum called Crash, which I've never been into or had any knowledge of or interest in the Spectrum, so that's not something that I am going to be getting. But if I know there's a lot of people out there who are into that and who are into, you know, lots of different retro computers. There was a funny article in here about the Dungeons and Dragons toys. They've done some other articles about some of the other what do you call, like, rip-off toys, or actually this one here was quite cool. In the issue 28, we've got making figures that were never made. 41 years after the Star Wars action figures first appear on the toy shelves, those exact figures are back in the shops, but now called the Star Wars Retro Collection. So there's an article about how this one I haven't read, but looking at the pretty pictures, it looks like that there are people out there making figures or modifying figures to get characters or versions of characters, or in this case droids, that there were never any official figures for, which is kind of funny. So there's Fusion magazine. The Fusion magazine did a special issue called Fusion 64. This was a one-off. I've got that as well. This has a kind of a cool Commodore 64 hardware guide in it, which is really nice. All the different models. Oh. So yeah, and the 128s as well, obviously. So it's and they do go into the C64 and the Mini and the Maxi and the Ultimate 64. It's kind of cool. Like, this is it looks like these are well thought out, well done magazines. The Fusion magazine, what they do is they're also doing a book version, same size. So this is, I guess, A5 size, small format. So they're doing annuals, with hardcover annuals, and it seems like and what they do is they just get like the best of kind of articles from that year and put them into this. Now apparently they've just got a deal to get these into a stationery or a bookstore chain called WH Smith, which is in the UK, I presume. I don't know whether they're outside of the UK, or whether WH Smith has ties to, hopefully that didn't freeze, my laptop just went into screensaver mode. I don't know whether WH Smith have ties to distribute internationally, whether they'll go to say either sister companies, or whether that will be part of a distribution network to go into regular stores around the world. But we'll see. Like, it's a nice start for the retro platforms. As far as other retro magazines goes, these guys also they just started one called Zzap Amiga, which I really need to jump on. And here in New Zealand, one of my friends, Carl, he is starting a magazine called New Zealand. I think it's called New Zealand Retro Gamer, and it's currently on a Kickstarter at the moment, so I'll put a link to that in the description and the do-really-do. Yeah, I think it's kind of cool because the retro scene is huge at the moment. There's not just for the Commodore 64s, people are releasing new games for the Amigas, for Spectrums, for Amstrads, for Mega Drives, you name it. It's just incredible. And speaking of physical games being made, I put an order through to Cytronic last year. The current COVID international shipping can be quite slow getting all the way down to New Zealand. They did arrive, and I'm very grateful. I've also put in an order for. So these ones are just discs, and I've put in an order on to Bitmapsoft in the UK, who do. I think the game. What did I order from them? I might have either ordered Rogue 64. I can't remember who I ordered. But Bitmapsoft also are doing cartridge versions of games. So modern retro games for say C64, they're putting them onto cartridges, which is fantastic. So some of the games I got, well, these are the games I got. I got the budget versions. Like, I wasn't sure about the packaging, and I really wanted the boxes, but I was worried about the shipping here to New Zealand. That ordering a bunch of games, and I did order quite a few. A package that size versus something bigger than that just for one game, so I would have had a massive box. I'm going to try and pick up some of the collector boxes or some of the clamshell boxes, the plastic box versions in the future. And these games are also cheap that it doesn't matter if I rebuy a game. Like, these were literally like $8 or $9 US. Like, it's nothing. I was amazed at how cheap they were. I mean, it's not just because they've got to give some of this money to the developers. The developers are obviously doing this as a hobby, so this is, I'm going to guess that for the majority of them, this isn't their day job. Although, it wouldn't surprise me if that in the current COVID situation, if there are some people who have either lost their jobs or who have got reduced work, who, if they can pick up some extra money doing stuff like programming on retro consoles, then hell, support the shit out of them, seriously. These budget versions were, as I say, $8 or $9 each. The first one I got was the Shadow over Hawksmill, which is kind of a Cthulhu-esque. You're this kind of investigator, this guy running around trying to collect things and find. And it was funny, when I first played it, I was like, what do? I can't do anything. And then I watched an actual play of it online and on YouTube and saw, you've got to go and search by pressing, pulling down on the joystick, every single thing that you encounter, like all these boxes and stuff. And some of them will have things that you find that you can use, keys and so on. So I was like, just walking around like an idiot, got nothing to do, I don't know what to do. So yeah, Outrage. Again, most of these I haven't played. I don't think I've played Outrage. Guns and Ghosts, I had a bit of a blat at that. That was a lot of fun. I haven't played any of these seriously. This is just a few of them I loaded just to make sure that the disk drive worked. I just bought a new joystick, which was styled after a Atari 2600 joystick, but it has like a rubber handle. It's quite nice. And so I was really just testing that everything was working. So I haven't sat down to actually play any of these games properly. But they all look fantastic. Organism. Ooh. Dragonspire. Oh, the Lord of Dragonspire, sorry. Soulless. The Age of Heroes. The Isle of the Cursed Prophet. And a couple of games that, when they arrived, I don't know if I twigged that they were VIC-20 games. I don't have a VIC-20, but I might have just bought them on principle because I like role-playing games and I wanted to support someone making a role-playing game on an old platform. And maybe one day I will get a VIC-20. But Realms of Quest Trilogy, so this has got games Realms of Quest 1 to 3, and on a separate disc is Realms of Quest 4. So yeah, maybe I'll get a chance to get those, play those one day. Everything else is cool. There is one other thing I did get. I got before I got my disk drive working, I bought an SD EIC2, which is an SD card that plugs into the C64's serial port. That can imitate a floppy disk drive, and it can load ADF files and so on. I found using it a bit clunky because you kind of had to load the software, the file browser, so that you could go around, or you had to send commands to the drive to like CD, to change directory and to do a few things to move around the file system. So you kind of had to know what you were doing in advance to doing it. In other words, for example, if I wanted to load an assembler, I had to have a disk that had the assembler and my source files on the same disk, because I found it either impossible or clunky to swap disks so that I could have an assembler disk and a source code disk. So I ended up getting a Pi 1541-2 in this really cool Pi hat cover thing. I put my Raspberry Pi 3 into it, but I haven't managed to get this working. Like, it isn't booting up properly. So I don't know if that is because I haven't formatted or set up the micro SD card properly. I don't know. I'm gonna have to take the Raspberry Pi back out, try and boot it separately without the 1541 stuff around it. The Pi works fine. I've got another micro SD card on it with UAE, the Amiga emulator, so I was actually using that to have an Amiga emulator running, plugged, basically just off the Raspberry Pi. So we'll see how that goes. So that has been my fun for the last month. I'll get my head together soon, and I'll get another programming video up. I will be doing some updates to Wordle, as I say, and I'll make a video about that as well. And now that I've got a new microphone, tell me what you think of this, of the audio on this. I did a couple of tests, and I think that the audio was kind of okay, but I haven't uploaded any to YouTube, so I'm what plays okay on my own laptop. We'll see how it is. So please give me your thoughts. I'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting me, and I'll see you on the next video. Have a good one.